You remember when Bad Neighbours, or Neighbours as it was called, was it called Bad Neighbours?
It's Bad Neighbours.
No, I can't remember whether they changed the
Neighbours
title.
is the Australian.
No, I did, but I can't remember whether they changed the title of it in America. Anyway, whatever. So when Bad Neighbours came out, and I wasn't very fond of it, and my complaint was that it seemed too often like basically the leads were just being allowed to just riff and ramble, and it looked like a collection of outtakes, and the trailer had blown all the sort of funniest gags. So anyway, now Bad Neighbours 2, which I approached with a real sense of trepidation, because as you know, in recent years, I have been sort of falling out of love with Zac Efron, particularly after his recent, forays with Robert. I can't even. Actually, I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to dirty the inside of my mind. So I went into Bad Neighbours 2 with the heaviest of hearts. I have to say it was better than I thought it was going to be. So the story is, it's a few years on from the original movie, in which this couple are living next door to a house that is owned by, it's a frat house, and they're making a terrible amount of noise, and it's a sort of, war of attrition between the two sides. This one, a few years later, the central couple now want to sell their house and move somewhere else because they're parents, and they want to expand. However, Chloe Grace Moretz arrives at college to discover that sorority houses, this is all the American thing, sorority houses, frat houses, that the sorority houses are not allowed to have parties. They don't have any rights.
What is a sorority?
Sorority house is the female version of the fraternity. I mean, believe me, I only know this from movies.
Animal House and that kind of thing.
Exactly. And,
and the new Richard Linklater movies.
And the new Richard Linklater movie, which I haven't seen yet, which I'm seeing next week. And so she decides that what she wants to do is to set up her own sorority, Cap Nu. And the next thing you know, they end up looking round the house, which is next door to the house that our central couple are trying to sell. Now, there is a thing apparently now in American real estate. You agree to buy a house, but there's a 30-day period in which, during that 30-day period, you can drop by and check whether everything's working as you expect it to be. What's that going to look like if it turns out that there is a great big noisy sorority next door? By coincidence, Zac Efron, who is now grown up, all his frat boy friends have all moved on to greater things, but he is still horribly stuck in the past, is cooling his heels in that very house where he meets Chloe Grace Moretz.
You guys thinking about renting this place?
Maybe.
What do you guys want with such a big house?
We're starting our own sorority outside the system that can totally do whatever it wants.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like throw dope-ass parties and totally rage.
A sorority that can party?
Kappa Nu.
What's wrong with fraternity parties?
Oh, what is it?
I mean, we threw great parties here. Pimps and hoes, CEOs and corporate hoes, Boise boys and Idahos.
They're like super sexist. Every party is like themed hoe.
I mean, oh, jeez. Oh, no. Oh, God. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see your point.
And that's basically the gag. The point is that he suddenly realised that actually everything that he was doing up until that point is totally reprehensible. And so now what he's going to do is to teach the sorority, because he wants to get his own back on the neighbours who he had the fight with in the previous movie. I mean, it's the most complex of setups. But considering what it could have been, and considering how unfunny the first one was, I actually did find this slightly more tolerable. I still think that there's too many sort of running vulgar gags that aren't anything like as funny as they think they are. We get the airbags gag that was in the first one returns here in kind of sort of fairly straightforward slapsticky fashion, and it is still too coarse to be genuinely amusing. But that said, there was enough in it that made me feel that I might be back on speaking terms with Zac Efron. All of this is a way of saying it's not good, but it's not that bad. And sometimes it's like watching a movie that somebody said, let's take one of those movies that did all that old sort of crass stuff, and let's just put that thing. There was an interview with Spinal Tap once, and in character is Spinal Tap, and they said, they were asked about the documentary Spinal Tap, and they said, it's terrible because he just twisted it. He just did that twist, and it became a different thing. Well, this is kind of a little bit like that. It's like taking one of those old movies and put it a slight twist, and every now and then that spin works, and every now and then it has some funny moments. Overall, it's still baggy and indulgent, and I'm not going to go as far as say it's good, but it's not that bad.